going to go over where we are, and this is a little, not a little, this is a lot of a different meeting. Because in the past, I believe what we've done a lot of times is simply go over the last year and what's going on maybe this coming year. But we feel that this one is, we need to really talk about where we're going. And so that's what we're going to do today. So I'm going to start off here. So hopefully everybody is seeing this. So this is how we're doing and where we're going. And the thing is, I want to say that the focus on this meeting today is going to be very much on road racing. And that is not to at all say that the other parts of San Francisco region are not important, because they are. We have, as you guys all know, we have autocross, rallycross, and those are, we're blessed in this region that those groups basically run autonomously with very little need for support or input from us. And that is it's been that way for a long time, and they do a great job. The area that I'm focusing on today is the more road racing side of it, where we have had some struggles in the last years. So that's our main focus today, is going to be that. I think we should talk, we're going to talk about the financials from last year, and then move into where we're going. But I think we should have some history, because it's important to recognize this as, because it indicates what we're dealing with. If you look at our operating financial history for 2024, not 25, year before, we operationally lost a little over $243,000. And then it was, quote, covered by the Thunderhill dividend for that year, which was about $220,000. And if you look at the 3 years from 2022 to 2024, the operating loss for the road racing group was a little over $700,000, and the dividend for that same period was a little over $700,000. So you can look at these and see that we have basically, at least for the last three or 4 years, been living off of the Thunderhill dividend. That's not to say that's bad or good. It's just the way the numbers are sorting out, and I think it's important we acknowledge that. If you look at where we are for 25, just to go over the money we got in, our event entry fees were a little under $1 million. We still have some cash in the bank, and so we made some interest on that. And then we get our percentage of dues from SCCA, which was a little over $57,000. So our total income was $1 million. Now, in the world we're in, $1 million, may or may not seem like a lot of money, but it's a lot of money for a club that is largely run by volunteers. I think that, that's, I don't think anybody would debate that. Our expenses, we had expenses for 25 where club administration was $159,000. What that is the office cost, all the insurances, maintenance on vehicles, the ones that we have remaining, that kind of thing. Road racing operations was a little over 732,000. That is what the cost of putting races on is. In addition to that, we paid a little over $75,000 to National. That is our fees for being a part of National. We pay so much per driver and per event. Our volunteer programs, we spent 81,000. That includes the new stipend program we instituted in 2025, where workers, if they elect to take it, which I'm going to come back to, they get $100 a day stipend. Now I do want to say, and I say this on behalf of myself as a driver as well as a volunteer, about 20% of our workers don't take the stipend. And that is, a gift to all of us as drivers, because that means that they are volunteering their work and not getting any reimbursement whatsoever. Last year we spent a little over $24,000 on the wheel. I want to say, I know Blake's on here. I can remember in the old days when we published it in paper, it was probably easily double that. So our total expenses for the year was a little over $1 million. And so if you look at it, the really good news is our income minus our expenses, we just fundamentally broke even. And given that we had been coming off of many years of multiple hundreds, thousands of dollars lost, that's a real accomplishment. Now, I want to say, and I didn't put this slide on here because it's cute. I put it on here because I really want to emphasize to get this thing to break even was a lot of hard work. And the hard work was not done by any one person. It was done by everybody that's been involved in this. And that includes all the board members. Everybody has made hard decisions, worked really hard. The chiefs that run the specialties have been open to trying new things, and they've been open to supporting the new things we were trying. Sometimes they were very disruptive. And to all the workers that had to accommodate new processes and procedures, and all the drivers that are on here as well. I recognize that we tried a whole lot of things last year to see what we could make work. Some of them worked, some of them didn't work. Some of them were fun, some of them were less fun. And I really appreciate that. And the last person I think we need to, or the last entity we need to acknowledge is SCCA. SCCA is the entity that makes all the rules and has all the process and procedures. And, I'll be frank, sometimes it's a pain in the neck. I can't tell you the number of times we wanted to do things and somewhere in the GCR says we can't, and it doesn't appear there's a lot of flexibility. I've been in the club for a long time, and I will tell you this last year, they were the absolute most flexible I've ever seen them. They recognize that we have some problems to solve in road racing, and they are trying to do their best. I'm not saying this as a paid political announcement. I just want to be honest and acknowledge what's going on. So from a financial standpoint, last year was good. I mean, we didn't lose any money, and that gives us some runway now to do some new things. So we've talked about the financial. I think it's now we need to talk about how our view is on what's happening with San Francisco and amateur road racing in general. we have some issues that we need to acknowledge, and they're not necessarily all good news. We need to be honest about what we have so that we can come up with honest solutions. Our number of active drivers are declining. In 2013, we had about 471. In 25, last year, we had 381. So we've had a decrease in the actual number of drivers that are participating in road racing. The number of weekends the drivers are racing has declined as well. In 2013, it was 2.1. 2025, it was 1.8. So if you conclude it, we have fewer drivers that are racing less weekends. Another thing we found is we did some analysis, and we had in 153 drivers that raced with us in 2024 that did not race with us in 25. So that says that we are struggling with maintaining our continuity with customers coming back to race with us. I know there's a ton of opinions as to why that is, but those are the numbers we need to deal with. The other things we are concerned about is that right now we get 55% of our entries come from Miatas and spec racers. That is a scary focus, because that means we are really dependent on those two classes. Then we looked at the spec racer driver count, which is in 2023 we had 72 active drivers. In 25 we had 49. So there's clearly a decrease in how many active spec racer drivers we have, and that's a class that is our second largest class. And then the last part of it is Miatas. I mean, they've been around for a long time. The question is going to be is how long will they last? I don't mean physically. I guess I do mean that, because they only made so many. They did make a lot, but the question is how long are they going to last? So So the conclusion we come with this is that the only purpose-built race car we have with any entry volume is spec racer. The only street car we have with entry volume is Miata. The balance of our classes are in the single digits, percentages. And that doesn't mean they're not important. They are important. I mean, maybe Miatas and spec racers are 55% of the entries, but 45% is everything else. But there's nothing in there that is of growing volume. It sort of rotates through.
I turned the camera off.
If you look at it, if you look at history, the road racing program is effectively shrinking. For those of us that have been around a while, I can remember when it was not unusual to have 300 cars at a race. We now are mostly in the under, for sure we're in the under 200, but many times we're in the under 150. So I'm not trying to be negative Nelly here, but we need to be honest with what we have so we can figure out a game plan. The other thing we've got going is the cost of putting on road racing is just absolutely skyrocketing. When I was involved on the board maybe 10 or 12 years ago, the cost at, say, Laguna was X, it's now 3X and growing. And it's same with Sonoma. So, it's a daunting task. We have proven that we can run at a financial break even, but I'm telling you, doing that last year was a ton of work, and it took a ton of focus and everybody really being focused on how to get there. As I outlined earlier, overall we're shrinking in the road racing community, and the other part we have is the for-profit competition to us with track days and in some cases door-to-door racing is growing. And the key thing there is that these are for-profit companies. We are a nonprofit and we operate with volunteers from a leadership standpoint. The for-profit companies, they have to pay their bills and they have owners, and it's a different world. So if you want to look at it, apologize here, I'm not very good at this. So here's what we have. We have the number of drivers that are available for us as customers are going down. The costs are going up. And the thing is, and this is really an important part, core business skills it takes to run the region is growing. You know, if we go way back when I first got on the board in I think it was around 2000, we didn't even have, nobody did a profit and loss on an event. They just looked at the checkbook to see what money was in the account. Because you just said, let's put on an event, everybody shows up and we race, and it came out okay. I mean, it was not all that complicated. There was no marketing, there was no sales. You put the word out, everybody showed up. It isn't that way anymore. And so the business skills it takes to run the region are going up at a very rapid rate. And the difficulty with that is the ability to come out even is now very, very slim. I get emails and it's on social media all the time about our rates. Gosh, I will tell you, I mean, there's not a board member and myself included that wouldn't like to say, hey, let's make our rates something far less. I'm telling you, there's not any, there is just such a thin margin to come out even, it's incredible. This is a daunting task. So our conclusion of this whole thing is the amateur road racing world has changed, and we need to change. And we don't need to change a little, we think we need to change a lot. And so we think where we are right now is a fork in the road. We either stay how we have been structured and working, and I think we would all agree that if we do that, we're just going to slowly shrink, because we have been shrinking. The other alternative is going to be to reinvent ourselves and to say we need to be a different organization in the road racing world than we were in the past. So the question is, how are we going to do that? We believe we need to go to a more formalized business structure. That's not to say that we don't appreciate all that we have done with the board and myself as RE, but we're all volunteers, and we all have jobs, families, and other things to take care of. So what we do is not our primary focus when it comes to the region. So what we think we are going to do is create a business structure. And what we think that looks like is a business structure. We need to have a long-term plan. Right now, if you look at it, our planning really is for the next year. It is very focused around what dates we can get, at what tracks, and how we're going to structure the schedules and that kind of thing. Not unimportant, we need that. But we also need to know where are we going to be in 3 years and 4 years and 5 years, because we need a plan for all that. The other thing is, San Francisco does not know how to market and sell. We've never had to, so why would we know how? And we need consistent financial management. Please know I am not at all saying anything about anything in the past, but we've not had a consistent financial management system, and what happens is it ends up sneaking up on you, and we end up not being in good shape financially. So, and the key thing about all of what I just outlined above is that we need this to be consistent. The blessing of our system right now as a nonprofit is, the board and the RE gets elected periodically, and that the people elected have skill sets. Sometimes they match, sometimes they don't. And that's part of what makes inconsistency of the whole thing. So I kind of outlined a lot of negative things here. And I'm actually not very negative about it, because I think we have 3 important assets to build on. One is we have a base of passionate road race drivers and workers. If you come to our races, you see a lot of the same drivers at the same time. We have workers that have been doing this a long time, and I don't think anybody here would say that we don't think that everybody, the workers, are passionate and care about what they're doing. I mean, my gosh, they go and they, the $100 stipend doesn't begin to cover what their costs are. They work outside, they work long hours. I mean, we have passionate people. And we know how to put on safe and fair road races. I had somebody send me an email that said, how come it costs double, they used the term double, I don't know if it was accurate. How come it costs double to put on, or an entry fee is double for a road race than it is for a track day? Well, the complexity and the issues that are in road racing compared to sending cars out to just drive reasonably fast are a lot. And we know how to do that. The third thing we have, which is a huge, huge asset, is we have Thunder Hill. I want to talk about Thunder Hill a bit. Some 30 years ago, some very far-thinking people worked super hard to create Thunder Hill. And I want to tell you what the original goal was. The goal of Thunder Hill was to provide long-term road racing for San Francisco members. And at the time, they thought that meant having a asphalt to race on. And the concern was that Laguna and Sonoma would become unavailable over time. That has somewhat come to pass, but what they never knew was that Thunder Hill would also provide funding to road racing. That was never a thought. Actually, the concern way back when was that road racing would end up having to fund Thunder Hill, and it's turned out to be the absolute opposite. So with that, I would like to talk about the dividend. So our dividend for 2025 from Thunder Hill is $225,000. There's a formula that we have developed to calculate what the dividend will be. And so everybody here knows that dividend is based on the profitability of Thunder Hill. not just a plug number. And that's important to note because we owe a great amount of gratitude to all the people that work and lead Thunder Hill, that they can run a organization, that track, in such a way that it can produce that kind of a dividend for us. And we need to honor that. I'll be frank. I mean, there are sometimes when I've heard things that say, well, we own Thunder Hill, we should get to do what we want. Well, that may be accurate in the legal standpoint, I guess, but it's not the way we want to treat people that are actually making it possible to keep our road racing program going. And so I would like to thank everybody that's worked in the past. I'd like to thank everybody that's working there now. As you all know, we have a new leadership with Matt Busby and his team. They're doing a dynamite job, really, really good job. To give you an idea, the 3-mile track is going to be repaved this summer. The cost of doing that is being secured right now, but it's going to be in the somewhere, we think right around $8 million to pave it. But because of the way Thunder Hill is being run, we have already have in a quote unquote savings account the money to do it. We don't need to go out and borrow money. We have been planning for that for years so that when we need to pave it, we can go and do it right. So we owe a big gratitude to them. So what are we going to do with that dividend? We think that the future of San Francisco road racing starts right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to use part of the dividend dollars and we're going to hire an experienced executive business director. And this will be the beginning of creating some structure, business structure with San Francisco as a region. This person will need to have solid operational skills, solid business organizational skills, have solid interpersonal relationship skills, and an ability to write a business plan, manage, and then produce results that are measurable against it, and to manage the finances. Now, this is new for this. This is not an office manager. This is a person that will be the leader of our business, our road racing, and ultimately will support not only road racing, but autocross and rallycross in areas that they need it. And I'll come back to that in a minute. What are going to be the goals for the executive business director? He or she will, with board oversight, create a long-term plan. They're going to, for road racing, we're going to create a marketing and sales plan. They're going to get, we want to get document reporting procedures for our financial system. And the key thing is we want this person to work with autocross and rallycross to support them. Autocross and rallycross are doing a great job at running their operation, but I don't think any of us disagree that we can come up with ways to support them, be it in the sales and marketing side of it or things we don't know about. So we don't want this to look like this person is going to be just running road racing. We want this person to be leading the region and doing what needs to be done to make it successful. So what are we going to use the $225,000 for this year? First off, this is the first time we've had extra money to do it. So this year what we're going to be doing is we're going to find and hire an executive business director. We're developing a budget for the 225, We're going to find and hire the business director. We're going to create some incentives for our drivers. We're working on that. We've already started developing a budget for promoting San Francisco. We're going to start spending some amount of money to try to research and develop what might be the next spec car of some kind. We don't know what that is. And we're going to provide some incentives for out-of-region drivers to come race with us. Because at the end of the day, it is about entries. And we want to make it attractive for them to come and work with us. So with that, you all have a view of where we're going, and I will be more than happy to answer questions. I'm not entirely certain, or answer questions or take comments. I'm not entirely certain the best way to do this on Zoom, but I'll just open the floor up, and I think there's a hand raising thing in here somewhere, but if you want to have at it, go ahead.
Well, a number of questions were asked in the comment section. If you just scroll down to the chat. There are a few questions in there already.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Let me find them. Hang on a second.
Right at the bottom of the screen, there's a button called chat.
Yeah, thank you.
A sidebar.
Mike, this is Linda. Do you want me to read the questions to you?
Yeah, that would be great, Linda.
All right.
Is there how many
Total drivers raced with us in 2025. Do we have that number?
I didn't. You broke up at the beginning, Linda.
Say it again.
How many total drivers raced with us in 2025?
I believe it was that number I showed earlier. My memory serves me. It was 421 or 471.
Do we have a breakdown of driver count by class over, say, the last 5 to 10 years, so we can see where we are losing participants?
Yes, we do, and I can. I don't have it in a graph or something I can show you. I have done it. I have looked at it. The drop off has been, first off, if you look at it going from the numbers from a long period of time, it's very subtle. Every year it just drops a little. The counts have been random. They have been in classes that have kind of come and gone, usually down in the single digit classes. So it's not any one class that has diminished.
Are the raw data numbers available? I'd be happy to plug them into a spreadsheet and publish a couple of graphs for you all to look at.
I can get them, Cooper. The problem is that yes, they are. They all have to be manually derived because all of our systems are not database driven. So what has to happen is you have to compile all the events individually, and then it takes a long time.
Data gathering is the most expensive part of the process every time.
Every time, yes. And the problem is that there's not even any, it's error prone because a lot of times it's not a matter of just getting spreadsheets and combining them. So, I've tried to do a lot of this and it's time consuming, I can tell you.
Do the entries at Sears and Laguna offset the double and triple costs to enter those events?
Do the entries, okay. For 2025, they did. It did cover. Those were actually one of the Sonomas and the Laguna was financially successful One of the Sonomas was not. That was because it rained. But if you look at it historically, going back past before 25, they did not cover.
Can you elaborate on why costs for Laguna Seca events have tripled?
Sure, because they have more people or entities that want to rent the track than they have track time. And so when the new people took over management of it, they, and I don't have any judgment about this at all. They basically said, how many people want the weekends and what can we charge for it? And the numbers went where the numbers went. It's a supply and demand thing.
Aren't they also charging us individually for more services than they charged in the past, like for the announce and that type of thing?
Oh, yes, for sure. Both Sonoma, well, Laguna more than Sonoma, but the tracks all have gone to, it's sort of like the airline model. If you want another tow truck, great, we can give you another tow truck, but it costs you a lot. If you look at the contracts now, they all say, you're required to have a starter, even though we have our own starters. You're required to have like at Laguna, we're required to have one of their flaggers at every station, whether we have our own or not. So yes, the incremental costs, I don't know offhand the percentage of, the raw track costs versus all the add-ons, but it's definitely accelerated. No kidding.
Question, we have a lot of conflicts with other local region schedules and pro events. Is there anything we can do to help eliminate that?
Good question. For the first time, I believe and maybe ever, but for sure a long time, we had Joe Briggs help me coordinate, and we had we started before before the year was going. We had meetings with Cal Club in Oregon, and we exchanged our schedules and did the best we could at trying to mesh. Now, having said that, it's a difficult task because we control the dates at Thunder Hill. That's really easy, but all of us don't control the dates at all the tracks, and so sometimes it was difficult to get dates that flowed properly. Having said that, I think this year's schedule we did a pretty good job. There was not too many that were on top of each other. It looked better to me than we'd had in the past.
Next question, Mike. Have you benchmarked your proposal against other regions like Cal Club? How are our financials and business operations compare?
I don't know. So far, the three of us, or none of the regions, actually share our financials. I think that might be a good idea, but that isn't the way it's been doing. But I can tell you, having had numerous Zoom calls now with Cal Club and Oregon, everybody is struggling with the same thing. And having also had calls with or conversations with SCCA National with Mike Cobb and some of the people there are no regions that are booming in the road racing side of it. Everybody is struggling with the same thing.
The last question, Mike, or the last comment. Oh, never mind. Another one just popped up. If Laguna and Sears are struggling with cost effectiveness, maybe we should be like Cal Club and only race at our own track.
For sure, we could do that, but I think from a if you look at our drivers as customers, which is what I think we should be doing, they want to race on somewhere besides Thunder Hill. We love Thunder Hill. We love going there, but they also want to race at Sonoma and Laguna. Those are both iconic tracks. So I don't think it's in our best interest a as a business entity to just give up. I think we need to figure out if there's a way forward to keep racing at those tracks.
Last,
Even if
Mike,
it
there's
comes,
just,
let me just say one other comment. Even if it came to a point, I mean, you know, in the business world, you don't make money in quotes on every single thing. Sometimes you have to do something that doesn't make money because it's in the best interest of your customer base. And you know, if we got to a point where we were doing okay at Thunder Hill and we were losing a little at Sonoma or Laguna, but it's a good thing for our drivers, I would support that. It's not that every event has to be have a surplus. We just need to balance it properly so that we, you know, come out close to even at the end.
the last comment, Mike, regarding Laguna costs. Excuse me. I believe Porsche North America took a large number of days for their experience program, which reduced available dates and increased costs for other clubs. And then one more comment just popped up. If we are only going to Laguna once a year, can we make it a 3-day event?
Well, I believe Laguna, it is scheduled this year. It is a 3-day event. It is a test day on Friday and a race. The races are Saturday, Sunday. So that is in fact true. And to go back to the comment about Porsche, you know, I think it's important for us to be realistic about, you know, and to honor what everybody is trying to do here. Laguna has Friends of Laguna now as the managing entity for that, and their job is to make that come out okay. And so when they go out and make a deal with Porsche, they're doing what they should be doing. I mean, it may not be doing what we want, but they're not bad people. We just need to be real about what they're doing and figure out how to manage through it if we can. That's one reason we need, in my view and the board's view, we need this new leadership model, because this person needs to be dealing with things today, tomorrow, and the next day.
We have a few more questions, Mike. Do we know how many drivers sign up only for Laguna or Sonoma and not for Thunder Hill?
Yes, we do, and I don't know the number. That is largely, I do know the number, I just can't, you know, grab it here. That is a lot of out of region drivers. You know, they're iconic tracks, so they sign up there and they don't race at Thunder Hill. I will say that I do know that the percent of, see if I can say this rightly so you guys, I can explain it. The percent of drivers from out of region at Laguna and Sonoma has grown out of over time. So we are now more dependent on out of region drivers to make the financial side of the two tracks work than we were. And I also will tell you that when we were talking with Cal Club and Oregon, they acknowledged that they don't want to put one of their events on top of like Laguna because they know that's going to be a draw. So Laguna and Sonoma, I mean, let's be honest, all of us as drivers want to race there.
Can test days be put on the schedule?
Test days are on the schedule, and we're running them. There's some reasons we want to run them separately from a sanctioning standpoint, sanctioning cost standpoint, but they are all on the schedule now. And we have tried very hard this year to, first off, all the events now are listed on Motorsports Reg in total. The test days are also on Motorsports Reg in total, and we've tried to make the links all the way through. I don't think we did a really good job with that last year. We were playing a little grab, you know what, during part of it, but I think we got it dialed in a bit better now.
Ways being discussed and explored to find new, more affordable ways to put cars, classes on track for road racing.
100% agree, and we would, that's part of, you saw in the budget, we were going to try to look for the next spec class. I mean, we were trying to figure out how to do that. You know, I mean, the hobby of amateur road racing is expensive. And to the extent we can help make that expense workable, it's in our best interest. So yeah, we are trying to figure that out. I got from Dave Arkin, who's on this call, a new form that New Jersey, I think New Jersey region did, where they're doing bracket racing. And so we've developed, and we're going to try to test it at one of the Thunder Hill events, probably the last one of the year, just because of logistics. And what that basically, the bracket racing concept is that you can have multiple classes of cars that run in the same group or class, but they are bracketed by their performance. And we're going to try that. So yes, we are totally open to that.
Like, here's a question specific to what you were talking about earlier. What other options were considered outside of hiring someone for a full-time role? Were other options like subsidizing entry costs for drivers when they sign up for multiple events considered?
Okay.
Did you get?
Linda, hold on to that because I think Dave Arkin had his hand up, and he was one that gave me the bracket racing. Dave, are you there?
Yes. The concept and why it's the DC region, and it is pretty much their most popular class. It attracts younger or people who have built a car that does not conform to any rule set whatsoever, with the exception that it has to meet SCCA's safety standards for roll bars, et cetera, and more in the touring class rules than anything else. And it's like drag racing brackets. You declare your bracket, that what your lap time at Thunder Hill is going to be. And if you break out of that bracket, then you move into a higher class. But the beauty of it is that these people, they build a car that they want to build. They don't build a car that SCCA insists on. And that is one of the problems that we have going forward. When we started out as a club, cars were all built to a specific class. Today, there are so many options for somebody to modify a vehicle. In order to capture that market, the bracket racing appears to be a really attractive model working well in the DC region. That's it.
Yeah, I just want to tell you, I really thank you, David, for bringing that to our attention, because that's the kind of thing we need we need to really look at if we're going to reinvent ourselves. And, that may be, it's going to take a bit of time. I did talk to the people that are using that, the people in the region, and they said it takes a while to get the thing started because
Yeah.
it's a whole new deal. So again, though, I mean, that sort of typifies when we're going to start something new, we need somebody that can beat the drum and keep it going for a long period of time. And it's not going to be a one and done deal. So thank you, David.
And it's probably most attractive to the drifters, by the way.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I want to go back to Linda. Can you give me that question again, please?
Certainly. What other options were considered outside of hiring someone for a full-time role? Were other options like subsidizing entry costs for drivers when they sign up for multiple events considered?
The answer is yes. I mean, there's a fundamental belief in here of what we're doing. In other words, if we took the money and put it to make cheaper entries, would that fix the problem? And the conclusion, all of us in the leadership side of it, is that would help the problem, but it wouldn't fix the problem. Because the entry fees are important part of the cost, but the entry fees, when we go out and we've talked to drivers, the overall cost is not the entry fees per se. It's all the other costs that go with it. And so we need to have a longer term business plan that is not based on just being the cheapest seat. We need to be an affordable seat, but I don't think none of us believe that just making it cheaper is going to do it. And the thing about it is, are you going to make the entry fees skyrocket because you take $100 off? I don't think so. Nobody does.
Question, is there a mechanism where we can co-sanction an event with another group, say one of the marquee clubs?
Yes, and that actually, if you look at the Thunderhill event coming up in March, that's exactly what we're doing. We are doing a joint venture with multiple groups, actually. We're doing it with Reno because they want to put on a time trial and a track day. We've never done that before, and they're going to be running the event. They are, quote, paying for the sessions, so we get the income from that. But we also get to learn how to do that, and they're happy to teach us. We are basically, if you look at Crossflow, which is where all of our Formula Fords have gone, or most of them, Blake and Greg, our board members, Blake Tatum and Greg Hoff, are working with outside groups to see if we can entice them to come back and race with us. So yeah, we're 100% behind that.
Mike, this is Jeff Peets. I don't know how to put my hand up on this thing, but I just want to ask a question. The issue of entry fees and discounting entry fees, I've talked to a few people that have their race cars, but go to fewer races because of the fees. I'm wondering if we could experiment with that a little bit in the sense that pick a race weekend that is generally has a low subscription rate to it, and offer a bottom line discount entry fee for one weekend, and then see what effect that has on the whole picture. I don't think it makes sense, for example, to cut your entry fees at Laguna or Sonoma because, when you're down to one Laguna weekend per year instead of 3, everybody's going to go to Laguna on that given weekend. Used to be you'd pick the Laguna weekend you wanted because you had so many choices. Now you only got one choice. But perhaps some of the more off-season Thunderhill races where maybe they're lowly subscribed and you announce to Oregon and Southern California, the entry fee is going to be $200 or something like that. I just wonder if we did it one time and see how that works out. I'm a little concerned about spending, it's going to take a lot of money to hire the kind of person you're talking about, which is, of course, giving you a fixed expense that we haven't had to deal with in a long time. I think in the long run, it may be the right thing to do. But I'm just wondering, not every department store has a sale every day, but almost every department store has a sale some days. And I'm wondering, we need to think about that.
I think you would find that all of us 100% agree with you. That is one reason why you saw on where we're going to use the dividend money for. There was a line in there that says incentives for drivers. So we are going to do that this year. And the thing is, what we're going to do is exactly what you said, is we're going to try to do it so that we can measure if it's worth doing. In other words, we are going to, we'll take an event and offer some sort of a deal, and that will come out of our dividend budget. So we agree with that.
Next question, Mike. Vintage groups like CSRG seem to have good car counts in solid classes. Has there been any attempt to try to consolidate and bring those organizations into the fold for every event? It seems like a good fit.
Yes, we are talking with a contact at CSRG to see if there's any way that we can cross-pollinate, joint do events, that kind of thing. We started at the beginning of this year. I don't think it'll happen in 26, but it might happen in 25. Again, that's part of what, we think we're going to have to do is begin to, we think San Francisco should take more of a leadership role in road racing. And we can do that if we have a leader that can go out and begin to market and sell and create opportunities. And so we agree with that. And that's why we started talking with CSRG.
Question, Mike. Have we looked at Cal Club's frequent racer program, run X weekends and get a free entry?
I don't know that I've looked at it per se, in detail. We did talk about it in the board, and here's the difficulty that we couldn't figure out. We did go through and we calculate, and we went through every single driver and calculated in how many entries they did. The problem is when you go to a frequent racer program are you basically discounting what people would already be going to pay? Or are you really creating more income? And we could not figure out how to do that, or if that was true. So that was one reason we talked about it. Should we have a frequent racer program? And we thought that the chances of it cannibalizing off of the people that were already planning on racing the whole multiple races, it would not be good. So the answer is we don't know. I don't want to.
Do you know how our entry fees compare to other clubs across the West Coast and the country?
Do I know how we compare?
Costs, our entry fees.
Oh, um, I think our entry fees are high on the West Coast. But I think if you look at the East Coast where everything I've read, the East Coast is, the entry fees are very comparable because they have the same cost base. Cal Club and Oregon have a slightly lower cost base than we have.
Next question. As you look to the future, do you see us only hosting one Laguna and one Sonoma event each year with the rest at Thunder Hill?
I think I think we would all agree that probably for Laguna, I think for the next at least 3 years, it will be one. Simply because they're pretty new at running their organization and they're going to have to sort out, can they get the pricing that they have been using? If it turns out they can't, it might make it more feasible. The other thing is that right now, if you look at Laguna, um, when they do a track day, it's a walk in the park for them. They get the same rate they get from us, and they have some people that come in, drive their cars fast and go home. When we go there, it's pretty complicated. So I think that I don't see us getting more than one date there. Sonoma, Greg Hoff has been the liaison for working with them, and we are trying really hard to get a second date. And we have a game plan for that. And they seem to be more open to giving us a second date. And they have also been more open to work with us about not giving us discounts. I don't want to elude that, but being more flexible in the pricing. Let's put it that way. So I think there's a chance we can get two there.
In the spec classes, what about a one new set of tires per weekend rule?
Not a bad idea. I don't know that we've looked at that. I'll make a note and see I haven't really thought about that. I don't think any of us have. Okay. Anything
Which
else?
one more, well, a couple more. Which SCCA region is known for being successful, and can we adopt their business model? Can we hire an executive business director from them?
I think arguably, I don't know of anybody that is having any more success than we are. I mean, when I talk to other people, I hear a lot of the same stories that we're discussing now, and we're making a lot of good moves. And I also don't know the number. There's only a handful, maybe 3 or 4 regions that are big enough to even have an employee. And that's a gift we have. So I don't know who we would steal. Having said that, I mean, we're going to go out and recruit. I mean, I don't know. We've started quietly recruiting right now. We've already done that, but we didn't want to do anything overtly until we announced what we're doing. But we're going to look for the best.
Another question. What can we do to get more radical race car turnout?
Radical, you mean radical race cars?
Yes.
Don't know.
Well, the issue there is that they've got their own series, and a lot of those guys, they're not going to risk their cars running regional events when they want to do, whatever. It used to be called the Blue Marble Series, but I don't know what it's called now. But it's not to their advantage to run regional events when they want to run these pro events.
That is a very good point, though, and this kind of comes back to why we believe we need this new leader. There are so many new race car series out there that if we have someone that has the focus and the plan and the time to go out and begin to quote sell them at coming to race with us, we can do it. Right now, there's nobody to do it, and it's not just make a phone call. These are things where you gotta, like, I'll give you guys an example. Greg Hoff and I worked, I can't tell you how many hours, or probably days, trying to get the new sports racer that has just been built. They've been around a while, and it wasn't homologated. And we wanted them, they have a series, we wanted them to run with us. And we started at the end of last year working on it. And I can't tell you how many, like I say, hours or days he and I spent. It was, by the time we got it done, it was too late. They had already signed up to run with SVRA. If we would have started it, I don't know, 6 months earlier maybe, but you run out of runway with how to do this stuff. It's not just a one phone call thing. These are, and I showed you the graph of the business skills. These are normal business processing things that have to be done, and they don't get done with one phone call. And they're not going to get done by somebody who's got another job or, we need a focus on this. I think all of us believe, and I know I do, at the end of the day, I don't think we got a lot of choice. I mean, if we don't do anything, we're just going to continue to slide. If we do something, I think there's a good possibility that we could end up with a very viable, vibrant road racing community because we have somebody that can bring it all together. There was a comment made earlier, by the way, about, I saw it just pop up, about one of the reasons some of the CrossFlow people don't race with us is because of driver behavior. And, and that's a valid deal because people don't want to wreck their cars. And one of the things we've done for this year is we've worked with a stewards organization, and we're going to be much, much tougher on driver behavior this year than we've been in the past. And we've asked them to really buckle down on it. I mean, if nothing else, it's in our best interest as a region. We don't want a driver going home with a multi-$1,000 wreck. They don't come back. So we need to work on that. And so the stewards are going to help us with that.
Like there are a lot of comments in the chat room, not necessarily questions, but comments. And I think the board will look at all of these and we can address them and come back to the membership with answers. Okay,
fair enough. Dave Arkin, you have your hand up.
Couple things. The single weekend tire, the use of one tire per weekend. That model exists within SCCA of how to do it and all the rules. It's in Formula C, I believe. It does put a burden on tech to mark those tires and the competitor to get them marked, and if not, suffer the consequences. Secondly, both Radical and the Rush Force Racer, we now have regional classes for them. And a dedicated office person could work well with those groups to try and get them to come race with us and arrange a single class race for them. That's one of their big issues is they don't want to be grouped with cars that tend to destroy their radical or their rush sports racer. But a dedicated office person could go a long way to solving that problem, as you
Yeah,
mentioned.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, thanks, David. I mean, the reoccurring theme with a lot of this has been, I want to race with you, but I don't want to take I want to race hard. I want to race aggressively, but I don't want my car to go home in a watered up ball. And when you have people like Rush, which for those of you who don't know, it's a fairly new sports racer that uses a motorcycle engine. They're reasonably affordable on relative terms, and they have a manufacturing facility. They've been, it looks like growing. They have a series. I started talking with them early last year, but they weren't homologated, and it just took a long time to get it done. And but I think we missed the window for 26, but we're going to try to get the window going for 27. They want to race in their own group. Everybody wants to race in their own group. But the difficulty always is we can't financially make it with 10 cars in a group. It just doesn't work arithmetically anymore. So we got to sort out that stuff. Linda, is there any other ones in there?
The only other question we have, Mike, is about trophies. What did we change how we are going to award trophies? And yes, we have. Trophies will be awarded for Sunday races only.
Yeah,
That's it, Mike. No more questions, just comments.
Okay. John McIntyre, you raised your hand.
Not in regards to this, just in general, we're a club in a grander region. I encourage everyone to get involved, to bring their concepts and their ideas to the fore for us to work forward upon here at the board level. Everybody's going to have some input. So I just encourage everyone to get involved in that regard. There's been a lot of great comments here. Just continue with that when we're at the races, through email or any other way that you want to transmit your ideas and concepts. We're happy to bounce them out and work through that to improve the whole region.
The one thing I would say is social media has been a blessing and a curse, mostly a curse. And, it's very easy to have, and I wish I could say myself and the board are immune to caring. It's hard to get chewed up on social media and say, oh, I don't care. And what happens is that it ends up being somebody picks a point. A lot of times it's not even a accurate point. If you got something to say, send an email at least, and we'll do our best to try to respond to it. But social media is not where we're going to solve things. I have to tell you, it's just a huge time sink, and it doesn't go anywhere. So if you got an idea, put it forth, and none of us are laying awake at night trying to think of how to screw this up. I can promise you that.
Mike, once again, I don't have the hand up trick down. I did one weekend at Laguna last year, and it was an SVRA weekend. I was very skeptical about running there because of all the stories I heard about multi-class racing, and I found myself running my Formula Continental against an old McLaren closed wheel rear end Mark One, but what I was impressed by was how well attended the whole thing was, how many cars they had. I was impressed by the business side of it. I was impressed by all the sponsors they had. And I was impressed with the whole bloody event. The only thing that was unimpressive about it was the sessions were like 15 minutes, 20 minutes on track, which I found out later was due to the fact that Laguna shortened the day. They limited the time when they could start and ended it on short terms. But if you're looking for business leadership that might be able to figure out how to compete with SVRA, that's exactly where I would go, is SVRA.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. So if anybody has any things that they want to share, my email is mike@sfrscca.org. It's pretty simple, and I'm happy to do it. I'll do my best at getting back to you. And like I say, nobody's laying awake at night trying to screw this thing up. We want it to go good, and we're trying to do the best we can to make it happen.
Mike, this is Linda. To reach out to the entire board, you can send an email to sfrboard@sfrscca.org.
Yes. So I will tell you, I don't know exactly, but we ended up with 56 participants, and I don't have a lot of history on doing this on Zoom, but my thinking is 56 is a pretty big number, and I really think that's great. The truth always sets you free, and we need to all know what's going on and try to figure out how to get from A to B here. There's no doubt about it. So. If there's nothing else, I would say we can call it good. And we have our next event is in 3 weeks, I think. And so I hope to see you all, or some of you there. And thanks very much for your time.
Thank you, Mike.
All right, see you guys later.
That's good.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate all that. Well done.
Thanks, John.